of nylon cord, strong nylon cord, something you can make use of. Okay, this is even stronger than your parachute cord. This is about twice as strong. Okay, it could save your life. Maybe you find yourself in a situation you need to abseil down a cliff and you need to be able to keep the rope with you. You could use this. Better that than a shoelace. Also, of course, many lines inside here for fishing line. There's enough cord here to easily make a pair of snowshoes. This piece of cord, very long. With your knife, carry a yucca stick. Yucca stick is the best firelighter ever designed for survival. It is superb. By reaching for your knife, which means your life, you know that you have sufficient cord to make a snowshoe or many other uses, and you have fire. You could put other things in here, but you'd end up with a great big bundle of all sorts of gizmos and gimmicks. These are the essential things for a good woodsman, and you're survival instructors. You should be able to rely on nature for an awful lot of your needs. Okay, if you can't, something's wrong. That's the first thing. Size of knife. This is a knife I designed specifically for bushcraft. I used to use Mora knives. I give them to my students. They're very good training knives. But in real hard conditions, you can break them. If you have a knife that can break, it is not strong enough. The new Air Force knife, we'll look at that in a moment, is excellent. Much stronger than a Mora knife. But look, the blade passes all of the way through the handle. It's strong. The point is very strong. It's only a very small blade. Small blades are safe. It's quite big enough if you have to use it in war. The type of edge is a flat, beveled, round edge, the same as a Mora knife. Two reasons for that. It's very easy to teach people to sharpen the knife, and when you use the knife, this style of edge supports the correct angle for successful carving. It works very quickly. So, you pick up your knife. What else do you take with you? Give me some answers. Sorry?
Sharpening stone.
Sharpening stone. But before that even.
First aid.
First aid kit. You should always have a first aid kit with you. And a means of sharpening your knife. Now my first aid kit has some scissors and a needle and steri strip, adhesive sutures, all the things I need to keep me alive for a week. Time to get back to a kit or to get help. That's my basic survival kit. And to add to that, if you add fishing hooks, snare wire, you've got a very good equipment to use in conjunction with nature. So those are the essential things. So you pick up your knife, and the knife says you should associate knife with cuts and with a need for sharpening, and you're very well equipped. Okay, knife policies. How do I teach knives? Okay, we've got half an hour. Normally I take 2.5 hours to teach you how to use a knife correctly. First thing we never do is put our knife down and leave it or walk away. The time people do this most often, they light their fire, get down, the fire starts going, they put the first twigs on, put their knife down to get other sticks. Well, if I'm teaching them, when they go to pick it up, it's gone. Because I've seen so many people put their knives into their campfire by mistake. Once that fire's going, you've got a moment. Sit up, relax, put your knife away, and put the sticks on the fire. Particularly as soldiers. You may not know that there's enemy nearby. You light that fire, whew, it's a beacon, you might as well send up a flare. It might be that moment you have to run away. What haven't you got? What haven't you got? And what is that? Your life. Okay? So this is the way we think. Also, when I'm teaching, I find someone with a knife sticking out of a pocket somewhere loose. If I can come along and take it off of you, I will. If you don't know it's gone, something's wrong. Okay? And I suggest you employ that technique when you're teaching people. You'll find they become very possessive of their knife. They always should know where it is. When it's not in use, it should be in the sheath, which should be strong, capable of transporting the knife safely. Okay, just a simple little skill to teach some carving techniques. I've only got half an hour, so I'm not going to go into any great lengths on this. I'm sure you're all very aware of these sort of techniques. to show you, I have my knife arranged so I can pull it out with one hand. Okay, but it won't shake loose in any way, shape or form. Okay, so it does what I want it to, and it does it quietly. Okay? Okay, first thing, this is our first grip. We hold the knife as though we're going to punch somebody, okay? Like so. With this grip, we can make power cuts using our arm, our full arm. That's good because it's going away from us. Our second grip is to turn the blade now towards us. You see that? The edge is towards me. Okay? Bring your hand across here, top of your chest on your ribs. Bring your other hand up. Now use your chest. This is very good if you're tired or for women. It's a very powerful cut. You have a lot of control over what you're doing. Okay. A good skill to practice the use of a knife is to make feather sticks for firelighting. Not the most useful of firelighting tools, but it's a good skill to practice. And of course, with all of bushcraft, you must practice. It's not enough to have seen it once and to have done it a few times. You must be expert at these skills. And as instructors, you have double the need to practice. Basic principle I employ is if you're going to teach a skill, you must be teaching a skill several levels below your own ability. Okay? If you teach something well to your students, their first attempt at something will be higher than if you teach them badly. Okay, make a feather stick. Always cut on the outside of your body, away from femoral arteries. Just shave down. The wood here is lovely. You get the idea. Lots of control. That sort of idea. That is a good feather stick. If we had the fire here, I'd light it, and you would find that this stick catches fire. That is the test for a good feather stick. If that doesn't happen, you haven't made it properly. If you go into a cabin in the wilderness here, a little bit of bushcraft etiquette. Okay, beyond just the simple warry stuff. Always leave a pile of these behind. You saw earlier the serious patrol leave matches so that someone with frostbite can get them out and light them. I make a policy of always leaving a pile of fuzz sticks behind me in a tripod on top of the stove. It's a lovely thing to find. Yeah? Now, I'll also leave matches as they showed us. Okay? That's a good skill to employ. But this is dry split wood. Frozen greenwood is a completely different story. This wood is much harder to cut and to carve. So we must take great care. That's the first thing. Your knife can slip through frozen wood. This is nowhere near as frozen as it was the last time we did this. It was warmed up so much I feel like it's frozen. Okay, but again, push away. Always away from your body. Good sharp knife goes through things with great ease. Okay? Occasionally, you can cut like so. Maybe all cuts should be bold. Okay? If you need a power cut, come around here and cut like so. You can cut quite thick things, even frozen, if you use a bit of strength. But what if you haven't got the strength? You just want that volunteer. I need a volunteer. That's great. A baton. I'm sure you've all seen it. This is an important technique. Your knife becomes an axe. If I'm teaching this in Britain, I normally cut through a tree of that diameter. You have a technique here for cutting a tree. You cut in, and then you put the knife in and work it sideways. I never use that technique. This knife and your new knife has a strong back. You can hit it hard with a baton. You can go all the way around the tree making that cut and then push it over. If the tree is too big for that, you're probably not in need of that tree. Okay? So, we can, I'm just going to lay that down for a moment because I'm going to come back to it to talk about large knives. Now, I haven't got my normal large knife at the moment. It had to go somewhere else. It should have arrived by post yesterday. I've got this knife. This is Norwegian. Anyone Norwegians here? Good. This knife is not very good. The problem is it's too light, but it's a good knife to show you. This technique is light, but the technique will still work. You need a knife with sufficient weight to do these jobs, but not so heavy that you don't want to carry it. In the Arctic, your axe is the most important tool. Your small knife you always have on your body anyway, wherever you are in the world. But you should also have a large knife attached to your body. You'll never be separated from it. This is a technique I was shown by Thatcher in Britain when I was a boy. I've been told you don't use this technique up here, so we'll see. First thing, when we trim branches, we don't cut in this direction, we always trim this way. I use just a little wrist flick to trim things off like that. Of course, all of these pieces are ideal for baiting your ptarmigan snares. If that was mine, I would have gone straight through. Now, let's say we want lots of small sticks for some purpose, just for sake of argument. Maybe to push into the side of a quinsy. We could actually predetermine the length that we want the sticks to be. We could take our knife, say they want to be that long, and just make a mark. Just a mark. I'm not actually carving the wood. Like that. And so on. And you could go all the way down the wood. Now, we hold this piece in our left hand. I'm right-handed. Reverse it for left-handed people. Lay this across your body. And we're going to carve here with follow-through action. Carving to cut beyond the stick. Okay, this is where this knife does not really work. Very safe, very efficient. You get the idea. Have you seen that before? Yes. You have seen that before. Who showed you? It's a very unusual technique to see this sort of cut. I've only seen it once with one Thatcher in Britain. Now, really useful technique for either size of knife, and I'll show you that in action. Take a stick like this. We're going to split this. Let's talk about splitting for a moment. Conventional way in craft work to split with a knife is to hold a knife like this or like this. I prefer two fingers. If you don't have such a good hold of a knife, you put less force behind it. These fingers act as a safety stop. The knife is placed on the top of the wood and works down gently until the wood begins to split. Like that. Okay? Like so. That's alright, but I find that when people are cold and hungry, they don't do it right, and they end up cutting themselves very badly. So it's much easier to just teach the people. Take the knife, put the point edge away from you, into the wood, and push, like so. And just work that down the stick until you're all the way down as far as you need to go. Much easier, much safer. Agreed? Okay. So, we'll go back to the big one because it's easier for you to see. See if we can find a knife. This is going to go in here. Edge away. So, I have the knife in there. I'll take it out, turn it around. Okay. Now, I have a very useful tool. I have a draw knife, which will be put to great effect. You'll see a snow scoop, which was made very quickly by this method. not inconceivable that you could actually make skis if you had to. This is a jungle technique. When I first did this here in the Arctic, Lars looked at me very surprised. We use this to get bark off of pine trees so easily, you wouldn't believe. Instead of hours of laborious work, it takes seconds. All of a sudden, a resource of food becomes available to you much more quickly. And there's a lesson in that. One of the things I greatly believe, wherever possible, cutting too deep, pull on the left. Good? Very easy. Use this knife. You can also do that with your small knife. Your small knife works very well for this. Okay. One other thing that's very important. A lot of people have accidents in two ways, particularly as instructors. The first is passing knives around. This knife is razor sharp, I can shave with it. Put a piece of paper in the air and it can be cut in half with the knife as it comes down. Handling knives like that becomes dangerous. So, first thing I would suggest when you're training people, make sure you've seen every single knife they have. I won't allow anybody on a course to use a folding knife or a knife that doesn't meet my own specifications in strength terms. Okay, folding knives are dangerous. They break, every lock breaks. They fold on your hand. I've seen fingers almost severed, tendons severed. It's a terrible accident. When someone has a sheath knife, they use it with much more confidence. Use it safely. Make sure the edge is only on one side of the blade. The back of the blade should be sharp enough so that you can scrape off a bark without dulling the edge on the other side. See? If that's rounding, you can't do that. Using the back, that's important. It's also important for efficient use of your yucca stick. A lot of people use their yucca sticks in this manner. They go, that's inefficient. Inefficient techniques cost you calories and don't work properly. Take your knife to the tinder. Just put your finger behind the yucca stick. Support the knife with your thumb and draw the yucca stick back. A much bigger amount of sparks. They fall straight into your kindling. You don't knock it out of the way with your knife. Also, your yucca stick doesn't get this horrible washboard effect, which later on impairs its performance. I've been using this yucca stick for nearly 3 years. You're all familiar with this, aren't you? And have you all seen that washboard effect? Yeah? Have a look at that one. That's been used for 3 years. How do you hand a knife to somebody? You hand it to them, you've probably been taught to do this. Yeah? Don't like that technique for a couple of reasons. One, if you're cold and hungry, you might hold it the wrong way and the edge is towards your hand, and you cut yourself. Yeah? Secondly, if people snatch, you can still get cut with the point. Third, if the guy trips, who's going to die? Japanese, when they hand a sword, always hand the edge towards each other. They take it. You go into wood knife. Hold the knife like the first cut, correct? And simply put your finger behind it here, and turn it in the hand like so. Now someone can take the knife. They can even snatch it away, and they like that. That becomes the way we hand the knife. Hand it back, okay? I'd like you to hand it round. I'd like you to go all the way around and see you do it right. You can do that with gloves easily. Okay? I know it's simple things. But remember, fundamentals are very important. Besides, very good knife. Let's see. We just put it through the rolls, just easy things. That's good. No problems there. The edge is not so easy to carve with as a flat bevel, but it'll do the job. Okay, that's fine. Congratulations. You have a very good knife. You should have confidence in this knife. It'll do everything you need to. Okay. Do you have any questions? Alright. You can put that down over there when it comes back. First thing is, you must have at home, at your regiment, wherever you're based, decent sharpening equipment. For these good knives, the best thing for sharpening are Japanese water stones. These you use when you come back to base. You sharpen the knife up, maintain it, keep it cool. You need 3 grip. I personally use Arkansas stone for this job, which is a natural stone. Now you may feel that's maybe not strong enough for military use, but certainly as instructors, your knife should be razor sharp. Because yours is, your students will be nearly razor sharp. Really. If you have a blunt knife, they'll have a blunt knife. Because what you teach them, you implement it. You do. It happens every time. The way I use this in the field, anyone got a knife? If it's really blunt, I won't be able to get it very sharp. These are only sharp. In the field, I use spit on here. You've always got that with you. It lasts days on in water. If I'm in the field, I actually use the side of my boot to hold the stone. I find that's often very easy in snowy conditions. And I put the knife on here and I use this action on the small stone. It's different to a large action. Do this because it's easy. Okay, you get the idea. If possible, I just drop it on leather when it's sharp. It's starting to come up nice. This will cost you 300 marks, 300 pounds. Okay. That's better. It needs more work, but that's the method that I employ. All old-fashioned stuff. You've probably seen it before. But again, with all of these skills, you can practice them and take them to very high levels. Most people can sharpen a knife, but few people sharpen it as well as it can be.